Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, and this is Season 2, Episode 49. So can't believe we're here at Episode 49. We hope if you haven't seen some of our other episodes that you'll go back to our YouTube channel at Wild West Diversity. That's at Wild West Diversity. You can search that, and that'll come up, and we'll have our other 48 shows there that you can review. So certainly go and subscribe. And if you've got friends that love Western history, we hope that you'll encourage them to check it out as well. So I'm just delighted today. Today, we're going to be talking barrel racing. So we're going to be talking with a great friend, Brittany Amos. Brittany's a barrel racer, and, you know, she started competing when she was younger, and I've known her part of her life. And so I'm just excited to have her today. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, thanks so much. So on this show, this is all about us telling the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American West. And as you know, because you've been involved with our Cowboys of Color rodeos, your family's all been involved.
Yes.
You know, that a lot of people don't realize there were Black cowboys, Hispanic cowboys, Native American cowboys. And so we're sharing that history, and then the people, the living legends, keeping that alive today. So we appreciate you being here to tell us about barrel racing, because when did you start? And what did your family, were your family kind of ranchers or farmers, or did you, were you a city kid that just got into it somehow?
No, my mom and dad actually ran barrel. My mom barrel raced. My dad rode calves.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
Yes. So my mom back in the day, she ran some barrels.
Yeah, she ran barrels. I'll have to give her a hard time about that. She had told me that.
Yes. And my dad calf roped. Actually started riding like 18 months.
Right.
I ran barrels the first time when I was probably 4.
Right.
But then I got scared and didn't run again until I was like 6. Yes.
For a couple of years. Yeah.
And then ever since then, I've been hitting the ground running.
Right. And competing and things like that. So what does it take for somebody that, you know, that's not familiar with rodeoing or barrel racing? You know, what do you kind of need those for? Yeah, I mean, everybody knows you need a horse, but what else? You really got to have a few other things, don't you? You got to.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, so you got, you know, whether that's, you know, saddles, bridles, I mean, clothing, you know, you got to look the part and be the part. You got to be comfortable because you're moving and at fast rates of speed. So what would you tell somebody that was starting out that they would kind of need to be thinking about and considering before they jump into this?
Riding lessons, lots of riding lessons. I would actually say a lot of different disciplines, like Western, like there's dressage. I would just different riding lessons, different disciplines to help you with your balance, using your feet, to get used to horses. Even if you've never been around a horse, I would say go be around someone that has horses so you can get comfortable. Yeah. I would say start out cleaning stalls so you're at least comfortable around a horse, and you know, cleaning stalls, feeding, watering horses, just to get brushing them, get used to them, to understand them. Because that's your first step right there, is to understand a horse first. Before you even get on, you need to understand a horse.
Yeah, and how they behave and what they do. And they're like people. They have personalities, don't they? They're not all the same. You know, one horse is not like another horse, is it?
No, no. No, not at all.
So what's your horse's name? Well, you're competing right now. So you're competing what at independent, or I know you compete for us with Cowboys of Color rodeos, but what are the other rodeos associations that you're competing with?
I sometimes do CPRA, that's Cowboys Professional Rodeo Association,
and
UPRA. Right now I'm just hauling a young horse, so I've been going to a lot of jackpots.
Right,
Getting
right.
seasoned. So the horse I ran at Fort Worth, that was his second rodeo. Dallas was
Oh,
his first, and
first
I mean
race.
he was not ready, but yes. So
So
that
that's
was his.
it. You've got to ride with them. You got to practice. You
Oh
got to
yeah,
go to the arena and practice in the arena, and you got to go to some of these smaller rodeos so that, like you say, so that the horse can learn what to do, and so you learn how the horse maneuvers, and
yes.
it becomes a team effort, doesn't it?
It does. It takes a lot of work, and like I've had him since he was a yearling, and he's
Okay.
right at 8 now. So
Right.
I mean, it's been a lot of work with him. I do have his name. We call him Sticks, and
Uh-huh.
then I have my old Gildan that I used to run at Cleo's a lot. That's Rio. So he's still
Yeah,
on the. He's,
Rio's the one I remember. Yeah.
yes, I still have
Okay.
him. He's just
Uh-huh.
living the good life. We sometimes haze off of him, but he gets road still. And
Right.
I'll pick and choose to. I took him to Dallas with me, thinking I was going to run him, but I was like, "Oh, my young horse can handle it." And then, no,
Right. And then it's
but
not. So yeah, so it's not for the faint of heart. You got to
oh,
be an athlete yourself, don't you?
yes, you
So I'm
do.
assuming you kind of maybe work out or try to keep up and eat right and do the things that,
I do.
so you're physically fit in addition to the horse.
Yes, I do. And I feel like being physical fit, I mean, you don't have to be completely fit, but I feel like if you work out, you do still have that some ability, like your core and your strength in your core to help a
Uh-huh.
lot and your
Right.
legs. So I feel like that helps a lot if you do work out a little.
Yeah, because when you're riding a barrel horse, you're using your legs and your arms, aren't you? Because
Oh,
you
yes.
because just for somebody that doesn't know, a barrel racer, we're going to show you some pictures in a minute, but a barrel racer comes into the arena, does a figure eight around two different barrels, goes down to the end of the arena around a barrel, and comes back out. So that means the horse has to know how to turn, and you have to, as the rider, you've got to know how to turn that horse, don't you?
Yes, you do. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a lot of work, and mainly it's a lot of your core and your leg. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I do get handsy. I'm just gonna admit that. I'm gonna admit that. But I mean, mainly I try and focus on using my legs and with
Right,
my horse so he can respond better to me. But
right,
I do like using my hands a little bit.
right, right. Well, and that's it. And like you say, it's a learning process, and it probably depends on the horse.
Yeah.
Some horses, they train better or they adapt maybe to a training style a little bit better than another horse. And like you say, when you're in a rodeo or something like that, especially a bigger rodeo like our rodeos, there's a lot of people in the stands screaming and hollering, and so the
Oh yeah.
horse has y'all have to get the horse ready, to be around sound and to
Yes.
loud noises and things like that to not be distracted,
Yes.
because they're athletes too, and so they sometimes they perform better than other times, and
They
sometimes they have good days and bad days, don't
yeah.
they?
Yeah, they do. Even especially training, like he's not I still say he's young, especially training
Uh-huh.
sticks. I mean, one day we can be in the 1D, and I just actually started running him in March. I started hauling him in March. So he
Oh,
hasn't even
okay.
had a full year of hauling.
Right, right.
But one day we can be in the 1D, the next day we're in the 3 or 4D, and I'm like, what is
What
going on here?
what happened?
Like,
What happened?
I know what he can do, but I mean, he has his toddler moments, I would
Right,
say. And
right,
sometimes I don't ride him the best either. And he's 17 one hand, so he scares me a little.
right.
Oh, he
Yeah,
scares me a little.
he's a big horse.
He is a
Yeah,
big
for
horse.
sure. Okay, so there's Mom. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks for
Yeah,
watching. We
yeah.
appreciate y'all. So that's the thing. So we're talking today. I'm here talking with Brittany Amos, and Brittany spelled Brittany, Amos, Amos. For those of you that are listening to this later as our podcast, and we're talking about ladies barrel racing. That's the main event, one of the main events in rodeos across the country. Is ladies barrel racing. Some rodeos have team roping. Some rodeos have women's calf roping. And there are women bull riders and bronc riders too. So there's a women's professional riding organization, rodeo organization. And so, there are a lot of women that perform in these other things, but the majority of women compete in what's called ladies barrel racing. And that's what Brittany's been doing since she was young. And so, like you say, when she's talking about hauling, she means in a trailer. She means they're putting the horse in the trailer and going down the road. And we've talked on the show before about it's not inexpensive, is it, to be in the rodeo business?
No.
I mean, that's the other thing.
No. No. And
Well, that
especially
makes sense.
like when you're
But
starting to
because you got
haul.
to, the horse costs a certain amount of money, and you got to feed them, and you got to water them, and you got to, like you say, you got to have a trailer and a truck and
Oh
all
yeah.
of that kind of stuff, don't you? So
Yes. It takes a lot of work. A lot of work and money.
right, work and money. So you gotta, you
Yes.
either gotta have a side job or you got, I
I
like
have
to
a very
say,
expensive hobby.
right, that's it. It's an expensive hobby
Yes.
sometimes, but you can win some money though, can't you? I
Yes.
mean, a lot of some of the rodeos, like you were talking about the jackpots. That's what Brittany means. She means she goes out to a rodeo competition, and they have a jackpot for each event, and whoever wins the money. You basically win the jackpot, right? Is that how it works?
Yes, and some of the jackpots, like there's actually barrel races that are called like jackpot 5Ds. So it
Uh-huh.
has like your 1D, 2D, and that's what I've been going to a lot with my
Different
young horse.
different
And
levels, yeah.
yes, it's for pretty much anybody that wants to run barrels. Anybody can enter.
Uh-huh.
Just say like I entered one for Sunday. They already have 120 something barrel racers entered.
Oh wow,
Um,
yeah.
and that some of these jackpots and barrel races are getting pretty big with a lot of added money, a lot of incentives,
Uh-huh.
um, a lot of payout, big payout with a lot of added money. So the
Right.
jackpot barrel races is coming pretty big.
Yeah, so that's great. And so what happens is, you pay a entry fee to enter most rodeos, a lot of rodeos, and then that money goes into the pot. And then a lot of times the rodeo producer will add additional money, or maybe
Yes.
sponsors or somebody else like that. That's what's called added money. And they will increase the pot or their winnings for people that are competing. But that's wow. That's what, we've always had 120 or 30 calf ropers,
Yes.
but we've never had that many barrel racers.
I
So that's
know. And it's
wow.
so
That's
crazy.
pretty
And
crazy. Yeah.
it's crazy. Like when like Cleo's rodeos used to have a lot of barrel racers back in the day when I was little, but he also
Right.
had like the junior barrel race. Cause I think I looked a while back. I found one of my junior barrel race
Barrel racers.
buckles that when he used to have the junior.
Right. When we had junior barrel racing. Yeah. That's
Yes,
true.
he used to have a junior barrel race. And I was like, oh, I still have one of those buckles.
You're right. I get that. So that's the thing. So sometimes you can win money. That's obviously the most, interesting for everybody listening. And you can win buckles, you can win saddles, you can win
Yes.
hats. I mean, it just boots. It just depends, because a lot of these rodeos are sponsored by different people. Some of them were Western related, some of them were not. And so, like you say, if they're not a Western related, like a hat company or a boot company or belts or something, they may put up the cash prize. They put up cash money, and then that money sometimes gets added in. So, it's a business and it's exciting, but there are rodeos kind of all over, aren't there? And we're lucky in Texas and Oklahoma. You can get to a rodeo pretty much every weekend, can't you, if you want to?
You can, yes. And then right now, like, um, a lot of the pro rodeos are starting to kick back up, the big winter rodeos and stuff like that. So a lot of people are
Yeah.
starting to haul to them and enter those and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's going on right now. Like what Houston's fixing to,
Yeah.
March, something
Yeah,
like that.
Houston
So
will be up in March, and then Austin will be up, and then San
yeah,
Antonio. And so, like you say, and the National Western's going on right now up in Denver, as well as Fort Worth. Ran through this past weekend.
yeah, that was
And
yeah,
so the last day, so a lot of these stock shows run for a couple weeks, and those are some of the bigger rodeos. Obviously, things like Cheyenne and Calgary, a lot of people have heard about those. But like you say, you can go to a rodeo pretty much every weekend, and
mhm.
all around Texas, all around Oklahoma, into Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. And it's really like a family, isn't it? I mean,
It
that's the
is.
thing that we like about it. No matter where you go, you meet people, people all over the country, because you compete against people from New Mexico or from Oklahoma,
Yeah,
and you begin to see them at the rodeos, and it's really about you and your time, isn't it, and your
yes,
horse
it
more
is.
than it is. And what's considered a good time for a barrel racer?
Well, honestly, it just depends on the arena you're at.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the arenas are different.
Uh-huh.
So it just depends on what arena you're at, honestly.
Right.
Some like a lot of the jackpots, Some do the standard pattern. Some do smaller patterns. It just
Right.
honestly depends on the producer or who's doing the barrel race or the rodeo, how the
Uh-huh.
pattern's going to be set, and just
Yeah.
the arena.
Right, right, for sure. So if it's a shorter arena, it's a shorter time,
Yes.
maybe it's a, 14, 15, 16 second. If it's a longer arena, it may be, 15 to
Yeah.
17 to 18 or whatever, or
Mhm.
maybe it's, 13 or 12. But
Yeah.
like you say, it's all about athleticism. It's about timing because it's about not knocking the barrels over. And here's we've got a great shot of Brittany, and so that's a rodeo there, and you can see the horses. She doesn't want to knock that barrel over because what happens if you knock a barrel over, Brittany?
It's +5. And actually, that run, I was actually in San Antonio at the American qualifier and actually hit the
Uh-huh.
second barrel at that run.
Oh, darn, darn. And so,
So,
so when
yes,
you
that
hit
was,
the barrel, it's like you say, it's a 5 extra seconds. That's
yes.
what the
Hmm.
five is. So,
Yes.
if you've got your time, if your time was 15 and then you get 5 seconds added and all of a sudden that's 20 seconds, and golly, that probably puts you out of the money because
Oh, yeah, it
usually the
does.
money's going to run somewhere in it between maybe 14, 16, 17, something like that. But like you say, just depending on the arena, whether it's a smaller arena or a larger arena.
Yes.
And so, do y'all, what does it take to, when you come out, you come to the rodeo, you bring your horse, you got to groom them, you want to dress them up. A lot of people braid manes and a lot of people, do colored, leg wraps and things like that. Is that mostly for decoration or is that sometime for the horse too, for health reasons?
It's for health. So, decorate the leg wraps is for protection.
Uh-huh.
So on Sticks, my younger horse, I actually put the polo wraps on the back, his back legs, and I
Right.
use regular sport, like the sports boots on the front legs. And I have a
Right.
couple. I have like turquoise and
Right.
purple and white. I guess whatever
Right.
mood I'm in, or I feel like I need what color I want, I'll change it up.
Right, change it up. So,
Yeah.
so there's a little design element, there's a little looking good,
Yes.
to this,
Yeah. You
as
still want
you
to look good a
say,
little.
that's right. You want to, you got your cowboy hat, you got your shirt and your jeans, your boots, you want to be looking good because you're going walking around part of that time,
Yeah. Mhm.
when you're not
Yeah.
competing,
Yes.
there may be a handsome cowboy or somebody out there looking at you, or cowgirl or whatever.
Run.
But
I'm just kidding.
right, for sure. So, what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about barrel racing, or be it just working maybe with animals in general?
Well, I actually work with animals every day.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a equine vet tech.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
yes, so
all
I'm around
right.
horses pretty much 24/7. There's
Yeah.
no in
Wow.
between.
Yeah.
Um, I just love being around them. I love the
Yeah.
just to understand them, to help them. I just love being around them.
Yeah, yeah, and then once you, like you say, once you develop that relationship with them, I mean,
It's,
it's personal and it's like a friendship, isn't it? I mean,
yes.
they follow you around and
Mhm.
they're happy to see you when you come out and you know, and it's not just because you're feeding them,
No.
they get attached to people too,
Yes.
So Red Taylor there, thanks for jumping on and watching for us here. So we're talking about barrel racing today, ladies barrel racing especially. Brittany competed when she was a junior and now she's in the senior level, and so she's going to rodeos around the country here. Brittany, if somebody wants to follow you, can they do that? Do you have social media or something that you
I
want to
do
share
have
with
such.
us?
I do. My Facebook page is Brittany Amos. Just simple.
Okay.
And then I think my Instagram page is Britt Amos. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it is.
Okay. Well, if you look up BRITTAMOS,
Yes.
and there are horses, you probably got the right one. So,
Yes.
and if there's a beautiful girl in a cowboy hat, you probably got the right place. You're probably in the
Yes.
right place. But again, that's Brittany Amos. So it's BRITTANYAMOS. And you can find her on Facebook and follow her there. We obviously have our Cowboys of Color rodeo site there on Facebook too. And you're going to see her. We've got some footage that we shot at Fort Worth that we'll be loading to our Cowboys of Color rodeo sites, and some of those photos will go up at our cowboysofcolorrodeo.com site. So you can go check those out, and we hope that you will go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Punch the black button. I think sometimes it's red, sometimes it's black, but if you just go to youtube.com and then put in Wild West Diversity, you'll be able to find this. You can always come back and listen to this recording here that we've got, or you can listen to the 48 other recordings that we did previously. So, well, what do you think is the biggest challenge, to being a barrel racer and getting in the rodeo business? Is it the money, or is it the time just that it takes to, to spend?
I think both. Honestly, think both, because right now my issue is time, because I still have a full-time job, and then I have to rush home and try and ride. So it's a lot. It's time. I can't just go every weekend, especially right now. We're fixing to be in the middle of breeding season.
Right.
So I can't just leave whenever I want to and be able to go in or do anything. Like, that's going to take up all my time.
Right.
So I think a lot of it is time and money. It's just yes.
Yeah, so for sure. So, if you want to do it, if you want to do something like this, like Brittany explained at the beginning of the show, you really need to learn to ride first. You need to get comfortable around horses. So you need to, find a place near you, find somebody that already has horses, and go out and just hang out with them, because you don't want to also just go out and buy a horse.
No.
And think that horse is going to be a barrel horse, or you're going to ride that horse or whatever. You really got to go out and spend some time and look at horses and see about horses, because like you say, they're anywhere from $1,000, 500 to 50,000 or 100,000 or 150,000.
They're not cheap anymore.
Right, that's right. It's hard to, and if you don't have one that's trained, if you buy a horse that's trained, it costs you a lot of money, and if you get one that's not trained,
it costs a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money, because you have to train them, like you're talking about. You got Sticks, and he's 8 years old, and you've had him for since he was since he was young, and it's taken these 4, 5, 6 years to for them to get to a point where they're comfortable in the arena, making the turns. And sometimes they turn left, and sometimes they want to turn right. And if you're left-handed or right-handed, does that matter? Does that make a big difference to you, or does it matter which direction you go, or is it just a personal preference?
Well, I feel like whichever, because I feel like the first barrel are going to be, which way they go to first is what's their strongest side. So he's stronger to the right. So that's why he goes to the right barrel first. Rio goes to the left barrel first. He's just stronger to the left. So that's why I always take him he goes to the left first. It's just Rio started out with the right barrel first, but we ended up going to the left because he was just stronger. That he worked better going that way. He
worked better going that way.
Yes.
And you can feel it, can't you? When you're riding, you can feel it in the movement and the balance you talked about.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, Sticks has been, and the reason he started hauling in March, he's big.
Like you say, 17 hands. That's that's a big horse. That's a tall horse.
Yes. And then I have a full-time job. So he got super behind. And I wanted to make sure it was right and his mind was right, because he still has his toddler moments. Like, I can be riding him, take him to a jackpot, and all of a sudden he wants to buck and play. And it's not like he's trying to hurt you. He thinks if somebody if somebody lopes beside him, he thinks they're playing. So he wants to, let me just do a little prance. And
right.
But I'm telling he's a lot harder than I've had to haul him more than I've had to haul Rio when I started Rio, because he's a lot stronger. He's a lot bigger. And we're still trying to get timing down, figure out who's in charge.
Who's in charge? Who's in charge of this? Like, because they know too, don't they? I mean, they know if you're tentative. So you gotta do that too. You gotta be, when you ride and when you take control and when you're on the horse, you've got to be the boss.
Oh yeah.
Because otherwise they can feel it, and they know if you're if you're hesitant about things. I hadn't ridden for a while, and I got on one of the horses out at Mesquite, and I wanted to go over here and it wanted to go over there, and we went over there because I hadn't ridden in so long. that, I had kind of forgotten to, what I needed to do, So,
Yes.
well, this is great. Well, I appreciate you coming. This is Wild West Diversity, and we're here every Thursday at 5 p.m. And if you wanted to, we have a written, basically an e-newsletter, and I will put Brittany's information and that, and it's at wildwestdiversity.com. You can go there and you can put in your email and get on our email list, and you'll be notified of what is coming up, and there are shows from the past. You can always go back and read about the different people that we have. We got a few minutes left, Brittany. If somebody's out there listening or watching and they want to ride, what would be your second piece of advice? You really talked about they need to go get around horses and start riding horses. And there are a lot of people that show you how to ride, like Kevin Woodson, our rodeo announcer. I know he helps people learn to ride.
Yeah.
He trains people and trains people more than he trains horses. I think. But there are riding clubs and there are places you can go and ride, aren't there?
Yes, there is. And I would say make sure you get around somebody that's very knowledgeable and make sure it's something you actually want to do. It's not
Yeah,
because everybody else is doing it or you think it's fun at the time. Make sure it's
right,
something because you can get hurt if you think it's a game. So make sure this
right.
is something you actually want to do.
Uh-huh.
Study.
Uh-huh.
Study the horse. I would say get a book and study every part of the horse so you know every part of the
Right.
horse.
Yeah.
Talk to
Yeah.
somebody, watch videos. There's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube and the internet that you can learn from first and
Right.
see. But my advice is make sure it's something you actually really want to do. It's something you're
Yeah.
passionate about because it's not
Yeah.
cheap.
Right.
It can be dangerous at time. And then
Yeah.
find somebody that's very, very knowledgeable in like the discipline you want to do. There's so many different disciplines. So make sure you find something
Right.
or somebody that can help you in actually what you want to do.
Yeah, and what Brittany means by discipline is you've got rodeo, you've got dressage, you've got hunter jumpers. People have probably seen these kind of different activities on television, or maybe you've actually been to an event. There are cutting horses that cut out cattle. I mean, there's just all kinds of events. And go look, and there are different kinds of horses
Yeah.
too. Some horses are quarter horses, some are Appaloosas, some are a crossbreed of Tennessee Walkers or
Yeah.
American
Warm
Standard
bloods.
horses, warm bloods.
Yeah.
And so you have these different breeds, and these different breeds have different personalities and temperaments too, don't they?
Oh yes. Yes.
Some horses are better for one thing, like thoroughbreds are really better for running short,
Yes.
or running long. I mean, they're sprinters or there's things like that. They're probably not necessarily your best horse to ride if you're just riding for pleasure.
Yes.
And for rodeo, like you say, you want to have something that's a quarter horse or something that's settled, or that's maybe what's a pain or something like that. If you see a horse that's got different spots and different colors, maybe white and brown or black and brown, those are all different breeds of horses. So check it out. Like Brittany said, go check out some YouTube videos. We've got some other. I don't know that we've actually talked. I think you're probably the first barrel racer that we've talked to. We've
Okay.
talked about some of the other events. We've had Danelle on as bull riding, and obviously Charles been talking about the bareback riding that he's doing, and we've talked about calf roping, of course, with Harlan, and we've got some historical footage of Cleo, and of course he was obviously a calf roper for most
Yes.
of his life, and so it's rodeo is a wonderful business to be in, but as Brittany said, it's not inexpensive, and it's not always the easiest.
No.
It's not the easiest road, so you got to be willing to work hard. You got to be willing to get up in the morning, because when you got animals, it doesn't matter that it snowed last week, did it? Were you
Oh,
out feeding? Or
thankfully,
you like dad?
I
You
don't
make
went out
dad?
feeding.
You made somebody else
I
had to go
did.
out and feed. Your dad had to go out and feed, or you're right, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't get out and feed in it.
yeah, but most of the time you
Yeah.
still do. Horses have
Yes.
to be taken care of. They have to be fed. I mean, they're not. It's not something like you can just buy one and put it out in the
No,
pasture and leave them alone. I mean,
no.
you
They,
can, but that's not the best way to treat an animal for
yeah.
sure.
Yes. No, they need attention. They need your attention. They need your 100% attention to make sure you're because if you're not paying attention, it can go good or it can go bad. Either way.
Yeah, for sure. So like you say, you can be it's it can be dangerous if you're not paying attention, if you're not really thinking about what you're doing. So we do want people to engage in the lifestyle if they want to, but we want you to take the right steps to do that.
Yes.
So we appreciate that Brittany was here on the show with us today talking about this. Like you say, this is the first time we've really kind of explained what barrel racing is. I know a lot of people have probably heard about it, and they've probably seen it, but they don't probably realize how much time and energy and effort it takes to practice so that you can make those runs. Because like you say, you're trying to get the best time without knocking over any of those 3 barrels.
Yes.
And because otherwise it adds 5 seconds to your time, and that puts you out of the money. So
yes.
Well, good luck with this. We're so excited that you're competing again, and I know the work's kind of interfering some, but once you get past this breeding season here, luckily a lot of the rodeos will happen this summer and fall, and maybe you can still get in the game there.
I know. I said I wasn't going to be as dedicated this year and try and haul a little bit more, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes. Well, it was great to see you at the rodeo and to catch up with you and give all your family a hug from me. And and so I'll send you the links afterwards. But thanks so much for being here with us. This is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, and we've been talking with Brittany Amos, a lady barrel racer. And so if you're out at a rodeo, look for her, and maybe you'll see her racing by on sticks or and hopefully we'll see you at the next rodeo that we have coming up, which will be Oklahoma City, and then we'll be in Dallas again in July. So I hope to see you there, and good luck though.
Sounds good. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
You bet. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week at 5 p.m. We're here every Thursday at 5 o'clock to 5:30 Central Standard Time. And next week we'll have a great show. We actually have a fashion designer, Alex Ewings, who's going to be here with us. And so we'll look forward to seeing what he had to say. He went to his first rodeo in Fort Worth, and he was blown away about, he said, I've never been to anything like this before. So it'll be fun to talk to him about that and see what ideas he has for his new clothing line. So,
yes.
So come back and watch too. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate y'all watching, and we will see you on the trail.
Bye.
Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail.